Okay, in this example we're going to quickly go through the YouTube data API or a basic query and how that would be handled. So in this first file, everything's all in one file, all the JavaScript and the HTML. So I'll just start the HTML, which is down here. In the body there's just one element, which is the ID of response, and this is what will be amended to show the JSON response that comes from YouTube. Next line, we've got the API load, and this basically finds the client JavaScript file on Google, and then on load adds an event handler for on client load, which is a function that we've got declared to handle what happens when that has taken place, and that's the rest of the script tag, just basically saying that it's JavaScript. So if we scroll up to the on client load, we'll notice that what it does is it basically loads an instance of the API, YouTube API version 3, and then once that's loaded it's handled with on YouTube API load, which is the function just below. This is where we set the API key, which is a unique key. Each project should have one, so this is the one that we'll be using just for this test project really. And then we call the function search, and search below sets up the request into a variable so that we can respond to that once it's been undertaken. So that is setting up for a search to return a list. We get to choose what comes in the part. So snippet actually brings a lot of information back about every video that is found. And then we've got the query, so Q stands for query, and there we've got the value for the query, which is this term. In this case it's UK General Election 2015, but that could be anything. If you want to find out about the other parts you can use, if you refer to the YouTube API documentation, and that's on developers.google.com. So once that's taken place, then calls the on search response function, which just serves to automatically show up this show response function, which takes us back to the top of the page here, and this is where everything happens. So what happens is it puts the JSON into a string using the nicely named stringify. So it takes the response, which has been passed through the parameters here when we've called the function itself, and then we've also got this put in a variable called response string, which we then send to the HTML element, which is called response. So it's a bit confusing, but the element is called response. Equally, the query is returning a response. So response string is then shown in the page under the response tag. So we scroll back down to the start, and we'll see there, so this is where everything will appear. And if I just show you the page as is when that occurs, and this is what the JSON looks like. And it's useful to use this file first because we can see the structure and therefore figure out how to get to the bits of information that are important to us. So for instance, the video ID is important because that's what we're going to use to load the videos. We might also be interested in the title and description and any other information that pops up. So that is the full response, which has been outputted as a string, so therefore it's just basic text now, with some simple formatting. Okay.